Coming up this week on the OK Bloomer podcast.
And then we come out of it and it's like, eye.
Yeah, it's just like close up on Vinny's eye being held open by the nurse. And I actually wrote, like, what the are these freeze frames?
What is happening?
What is going on? And then I said, I hope he's dead. He's in the hospital.
He just read the script for the pilot of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. He's like, write me out, folks. Send me into oncoming traffic, Rio.
Don't know about the future. Don't.
They don't care about the future, because they live it in the past. Sal and Curtis are taking all 5 seasons of Blossom to task. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll be weak in the knees. This show's got more range than this on the keys. Only gal in the house, and that's how she goes. One brother was a junkie, and the other one was. Weekly lessons coming fast in the Russo flat. Blossom's teenage girl problems are as big as her hat. So take your opinionations and make them shine. It's the OK Bloomer podcast, and it's about damn time.
Don't know. Don't know. Don't know.
You're watching another episode of the OK Bloomer podcast. I'm Curtis Anderson. My good friend Sal Accardo on the other side. We switched sides. Used to be like that.
Heyo.
We're messing with the algorithm, putting Sal first,
I'm looking
increased
the right
viewership by
like the Brady Bunch
92%. So here we go. We're gonna keep it like this. We are rolling this week. We got our rolling rock. We're rolling like Fred Durst. Let's go. We're rolling through season 3, Sal. I'm jacked. I'm ready to go. What do you got, buddy? Hit me with our stolen Rolling Rock cups. See, this is how you get viewers, right?
Just
Just
start
start off
up every
hot.
time.
Start off hot. I've been drinking coffee and doing push-ups all morning, so I'm ready to talk, Blossom. I'm ready to continue our journey.
You're ready
the
to
third
rock, man.
season. Someone say something.
Who, me? Oh, I got nothing to add. Yeah, let's
Bringing
get
the
into it,
heat
man.
for the intro this week, Sal. I'm wearing the shirt you made me.
As always.
You want to tell the
as
story
always.
of the shirt before we get going?
Oh, man. I actually forgot that I had made you that shirt. That's awesome, man. That still holds up great.
It's
awesome.
great. I mean,
Yeah.
the specialty made shirts I don't wash that much, I'll be honest, but I don't wear them.
yeah?
I bust them out for special occasions, and then it's like there's so many people
is
in our
one of
house
them.
doing laundry all at once that like I gotta have a full day of just like to wash my shirts in cold and then hang them instead of put them, because people come and they're like, oh, they just throw stuff in the dryer, and I've lost so many good shirts to shrinkage because I wasn't quick enough to take them out, and people just throw them into the dryer. And I hate it.
That
You
damn
buy
shrinkage.
like a shirt that's a little too big, and then you think it's gonna shrink properly, and then it doesn't. It just like gets shorter, and you're like, "How? I want it to
Yeah.
shrink this way, but it only goes like you're
Yeah.
Steven Richards and is cut off." You know? Sal, nothing.
Oh,
life
dude, I
sucks.
love Steven Richards, man. Have you listened to his podcast?
No,
Oh, dude, he's great, man.
Is
He's
he?
killing it.
is
Yeah.
he? I like Maven's podcast. Hey, look, we're talking wrestling already on the Blossom podcast. Steven Richards,
It's
Big
bound to
Stevie
happen.
Cool from ECW, my bread and butter.
Dude, he's great, man.
Is he
He's got
bitter?
No, I wouldn't say he's bitter.
Okay.
He gives good takes on things. He's honest about, who he's worked with in the past and stuff, but I wouldn't say he's bitter at all.
What's his thoughts on Scott Levy on Raven? Where did they end up? Because they were like on again, off again through all the 90s.
To be honest, I don't know. I haven't ventured that deep, but
I
he'll
find
pop
Raven
up every once in a while on
fascinating.
YouTube, and I'll watch it, and he has some good insight.
Yeah. Cool.
And
I
he seems like
find,
he's kind
I
of holding it
love
together
Raven.
for
Raven's
one of the.
one of my favorite characters of all time. And
Yeah.
they were just like, they're either best friends or they're at each other's throat. They're like discount Macho Man and Hulk Hogan. It was like if they could
Oh,
ever
wow.
make money together, they were best friends. But as soon as they weren't like in a
Right.
program together, it seemed like they hated each other.
I'm
I
gonna
don't know,
look
man.
into that.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has a whole episode about Raven. That'd be
Everybody
something.
grew up and they're like, you know what, ECW wasn't a good idea. Everybody's dead or got hurt, and I still watch it, and I'm like, you missed the table. And they just go splat on the floor, and I'm like, more.
Oh God, those
Yeah.
poor.
On
Back
the-
to the
on the-
shirt. Let's get to the shirt.
Sorry, on the documentary though, Vince, like on the final, like wrapping up the thoughts of ECW, he's like, it was very exciting, and it was very high risk, but the longevity of the style the wrestlers The amount of realism that they achieved for was not sustainable in the long run. I mean, injuries are going to pile up, and more serious than injuries will happen, and you just cannot run a promotion like that long term. And I was like, yeah, but those 3 years ECW was great was better than like 50 years of
Oh my God.
WWF. So
Uh,
go to prison.
has
Vince.
there been 3 years in a row? I mean, okay, Attitude Era,
Sure.
fine. Take
But
that
Attitude
away.
Era was just ripped off of ECW.
Exactly. That's what I'm
So,
saying. Like,
yeah.
is there 3 years in a row that you can count in the entire history of that company that was like, this is peak, this is best of the best right here compared to like 3 years of what ECW was?
Yeah. I think the best WWF ever was 97, 98.
Right.
Leading into 99. 99 was good, but like everything else, it had so much momentum, you didn't even really notice that like the cracks were coming, that they were running out of ideas. Because at that point it was so popular, they were selling out arenas, and people, the cameras were shaking from people cheering no matter what they did, because the product was so hot, even though they were kind of
It
on
didn't
fees
matter.
in the mid
Yeah, it literally did not matter.
And then as soon as that, people figured out that, you know what, the storylines and the wrestlers just aren't here like they had been the last couple years. It tanked.
I also feel like it's those years. Maybe it's kind of like Blossom in a way. I don't know how I'm gonna
Bring
try
it
and tie
back.
this
Look
into
at you.
Blossom.
Look at you,
I'm
Kay.
gonna try and make this full circle into
Yeah.
Blossom, but it's like people are so nostalgic about the 90s that it literally does not matter what it is. People are gonna be like, that was amazing. But if you actually go back and watch a lot of it, there was a lot of bad stuff to sift through.
I remember Dean Ambrose going off on how much the Attitude Era sucks, and I was like, dude. And he's like, go back and watch it. He's like, how many times can you see like X-Pac and Kane and the New Age Outlaws wrestle each other, and they just punch and kick and do their like shimmy moves and their taunts to the crowd? I'm like, yeah, he's not wrong. But at the same time, that was better than your best match currently, Dean Ambrose, because the crowd was hot.
Right.
If you have a sold out arena cheering at the top of their lungs, it doesn't matter what's happening in the ring. Whatever they're doing to get to fill an arena and have them cheer and bring signs, do that again. I don't care how many top rope reversals and technical wrestling clinics you can put on. If the crowd's sitting on their hands, you lost. And that's why Dean Ambrose is currently like hitting himself with light bulbs and stuff. Right? Isn't that what he's doing? I don't know. We've talked too much about wrestling. Tell us about the sauce.
We have.
I'm sorry.
All right. So the sauce was, what was the restaurant called? It's in Saskatoon.
It's called it used to be Smiley's. I believe it's Bugsy's, or else Smiley's is like the restaurant. No, it's not Smiley's. It's what is it? What is it, Phenom? Is it Bugsy's?
I honestly don't remember.
It used to be
really
Smitty's, and I think it's
Smitty's.
Bugsy's now.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, wasn't it Mulberry's? Mulberry's. Wasn't it Mulberry's?
Maybe.
Am I wrong?
I don't
Okay.
know.
Anyways.
Anyway.
Anyways, so Saturdays they had this. It was like $10, and it was all you could eat Christmas dinner, and I like, who doesn't love
Still
that?
going on.
I know. When I was there 2 years ago, we went, and it was
4
just
years
as
ago
amazing.
and 6 years ago.
Oh my God, we go every time.
The
because
reason
how
you
could
come
you
to
not?
Saskatoon.
How could you not?
You come
man?
for
All you-
Smitty's, and then you call me up when you get here, and that's fine. I will. Smitty's buffet. Curtis Anderson on the Sal Accardo to-do list when he gets back
No,
to
come on.
Saskatoon. I'll
You're-
accept that.
Nah,
If you
you're
put
always
me
number
above
one,
the
but you know
all-you-can-eat
like-
Christmas dinner buffet.
like-
I'd call you a liar to your face.
All right, fair enough. So, okay, if we're gonna shuffle those rankings up, then sure, it's Smitty's, Curtis Anderson's, and then it's Fuddruckers. But that's neither here nor there. So on Saturdays, we would go to this before we went to work. We would go and we would just crush a $10 all-you-can-eat buffet. But there was one time where they were closing at about, I don't know, 7:00, whenever the early bird special
And we
was
were
over.
rushing through a shoot, doing
we
a
were
terrible
rushing-
job just to get to Smitty's before it closed.
Yeah. Yeah. And we made it. We made it with like 15 minutes to spare. And the guy at the front was even like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, he's like, there's only like 15 minutes left. And we're like, oh, trust me, guy, we got this. We're good. So we're loading up plates and we're going back for seconds and thirds, like right away. And then this part was all you, because I don't even really remember this part. I just remember you pointing it out as it happened and us laughing our asses off at the
Well,
situation.
we were like eating in line, so we could like go to the back because we only had like 9 minutes before they closed, and we had to eat our weight in Christmas dinner.
Of course.
And then the blue hairs were just aghast. Is that the word? A gasp? A
They
gasped?
were
A gasped?
they were in shocks at
Because we were just like hammering this food. Because,
yeah.
it takes them half an hour to get from the table to the buffet. And we were just, like I said, getting back in line within minutes to just gorge ourselves. And
Yeah.
the one old lady, there was this table right in front of the buffet. And she goes, they're back already. And I was pouring, like, my 6 liters of gravy on top, and the other lady goes, and just look at the sauce. And then you made me this shirt.
Oh, amazing.
I adore it. And there's no way
Oh,
that
my
lady's
God.
still alive, but I wish I could have.
Oh
worn this
God,
to her
no,
funeral.
she's long past. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Pouring out for the homies.
Pour out some
Um,
gravy.
Yeah, we'll pour out
Pour
some
out
gravy.
some gravy on her grave. I'm sure she was
And
a very
much
nice
like-
lady. And if that was your grandma, I'm sorry, but she was judgmental. I didn't,
Well, no one's ever gonna know.
right?
But
I mean, I'm sure she used more Polydent on her dentures than I did gravy on my Christmas dinner that day, and I didn't judge her. I don't judge. I'm not a judgmental person. I keep my thoughts to myself.
right. Well, tying it
Next
back
time
to
you're in
Blossom.
town, let's steal some like Smitty's cups, and we'll put them on set too. Okay.
Love it.
I
Let's
don't
just say
think they
that
have
they're a
branding.
sponsor
I
of
think they're
ours,
just
even
like the clear ones, but we'll know. We'll know.
Yeah. We'll know. Of course. And much like Blossom, I feel
You're
like this
recording,
is one of
right?
Yeah, this is
Yeah. Okay,
many
just
minutes-
making
I am.
sure.
how many
We're-
minutes
Well,
are we
thanks
at?
for
10
watching our
minutes.
Blossom podcast this week. The irony is never not
That is a
noted
wrap.
that we're doing this show because we used to spend long hours shooting and editing together at our former place of employment, where once in a while we would say whoa and make fun of Blossom, and that turned into this podcast where the other 99% of the time we were talking about 90s wrestling, and we chose not to do a podcast about 90s wrestling. We chose instead to focus all our attention on that 1% spent talking about Blossom. So yay us. That's how you do it,
Right?
folks. That's how you
Wow.
that's how you break
How many
through the static and the
90s
noise, and you
wrestling
get a
podcasts are
podcast
there?
watched by hundreds of bots. It's relevant for its irrelevancy.
Correct.
Let's go.
All right.
I'm
What do
ready.
we got? Phenom?
Cue this one up.
Season
Let's-
3, Episode 6. Kids.
God, we're only on episode 6.
Season 3, Episode 6. Directed by Bill Bixby, written by Don Rio. First aired on September 28th, 1992, to 21.6 million viewers. Disney Plus says Blossom dreams about what life would be like with and without Vinny. IMDb says after Vinny gets in a bike accident, Blossom dreams about what would life be with and without him. TV Database says Blossom decides to have sex with Vinny, but he refuses. Then she learns he is in a coma after a motorcycle accident.
Isn't that always the way?
Right?
It's
Wah, wah.
relatable.
Bad luck, Blossom.
Oh,
Oh God. All right. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
I love how it makes it sound like she rejected his advances, so he drove his bike into a wall.
That's what it sounds like.
Right? And hey,
That
maybe.
that might have actually been a better episode, to be honest.
Right off the top, I know I kind of said this at the end of last week's episode, but that joke in Arrested Development where George Michael stays up late thinking he's watching Wizard of Oz, but he's watching HBO's Oz by accident, and he's traumatized. I
Yeah.
hope there's one person out there,
Yeah.
one person in the world who downloaded Kids, because that's the name of this episode, thinking they were going to get Blossom, but instead watched the like dark 1995 Kids documentary.
Just scratching their
Right.
eyes out.
There's got to be one person out there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I hope so. If you are, right in.
was that it? Was
if
that
that's
just what we
happened
did
to
for the
you.
intro? We used to like judge which was the best one, and easily the guy that decided that getting turned down by Blossom was worthy of driving your motorcycle into traffic. If I'm
I think
Blossom,
that-
I'm
that one
telling
has
that
my
story.
vote.
I'm telling that story for the rest of my life. Like, my future husband is sick of that story. Like, my ex-boyfriend drove into traffic when I said no once. When I used to do my rock show, on the radio, that song by Mr. Big, I'm the one who wants to
Of course.
be with you. He wrote that about his
I am a
like
human
friend
with a
zone
heart,
girl.
aren't I?
Pardon me?
Yeah. I'm a human with a heart, aren't I? You know what I mean?
Sorry, absolutely. He wrote that about like his friend zone friend that just dated all these terrible people. And he wrote that song and released it and went to like #1 in 17 countries. And he was like, I wrote this for you. Will you finally go out with me? And she was like, nah.
That is, oh my
It's like,
God.
I'm a millionaire now with this #1 hit across 10, 17 countries. And she's like, nah. And I would tell that story every day if I was that girl. If I was that girl's husband, oh my God, I'd be like, yeah. I'd make a shirt
Right?
about how my girlfriend turned down the Mr. Big guy for my wife.
I didn't even have to write a song.
Right?
Yeah. Wow, that
Anyway.
is amazing. I've never heard that before.
Okay, we've talked wrestling, we've talked Mr. Big, we've talked all you can eat Christmas buffet. Do
Did we
Blossom.
get it all out of the way? Are we ready to
Start
talk
us off.
Blossom now? So cold open. Joey's changing out the outgoing message on the answering machine. Nick comes in, makes sure he knows what he's doing, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not an idiot, Dad." And then they leave. And just as they leave, the phone rings. And then there's like a slow, like tilt down to the answering machine. And it's just
Art.
and it's just the last bit of the conversation where he's like, "Joey, are you sure you know what you're doing?" He's like, "I'm not an idiot, Dad." And the crowd doesn't really laugh.
I
It
don't
wasn't
really laugh.
yeah, it wasn't really funny. And then it just hard cuts to the intro. So I put 0 for 1 Don Rio here.
Yeah.
So far.
Guess
If we're
what?
keeping score.
Guess what? We're going back to wrestling because back in the day, I used to play WWE theme songs, and I'd re-record the Anderson House message with like WWF theme songs in the background, and then I'd be like cutting a promo on top. I'd be like, "You reached the Anderson House." Bev was not impressed. I would get
Oh my
angry
God. I can't
calls
imagine.
from Bev telling me to switch it back because she's like, "People from church call here." And I was like, they can smell what I'm cooking. Like, what's the matter? Come on. I used the Val Venus one once. Woo! Hello, ladies. That's my answering machine for like an afternoon before Bev came home and was not impressed.
Right.
That's the last time we're going to talk wrestling, I promise. We're in the
What
intro. It
a-
asks if I want to skip the intro. I do not. We need to get like some audio of a group yelling that, and then Phenom can play that.
Next
Love
strip
it.
down, we get the audience to yell, "I do not," and put it in here.
That is a great idea. This guy's thinking.
Done.
We're playing
Done.
checkers, and Phenom's playing chess in here. Okay, we start with the Phil Collins sax with Corel Draw and Blossom, and what's this guy's name? Buttafuoco? I can never remember this guy.
Vinny Buttafuoco.
Yes,
No,
they are going at it.
Vinny Bonatardi.
They are going at it hard.
Hey, the
and a few
saxophone.
episodes
The
ago, I
saxophone
asked,
here
like,
matches the saxophone here matches the tone of the
100%.
of how this episode
like,
starts off.
Rio is not wasting time today. You know,
Nope.
he is just off camera going harder. Yeah, eat that face. I asked a
Oh,
couple
God.
episodes ago if the characters always turned their back to the camera when they kissed, so you wouldn't
Oh,
see
yeah.
like mouth touching action. That is not the case here. Holy crap,
Not this
Sal!
time.
They are going at it hard.
Right.
It's the usual. You know, I'm gonna stop running down the opening credits unless there's something different, because, you know, it's been like 10 episodes in a row of producer Bill Richmond, supervising producers Josh Goldstein, Jonathan Prince,
Yeah.
Glenn
Yet
Mercer,
you're doing
directed
it
by Bill
anyways.
Bixby, writer Don Rio. And I said all of them need a cigarette right now after this scene.
Yeah, that's it was hot and heavy, just like the sax. So Vinny calls timeout. He says he doesn't want it to happen on the couch sneaking around. And Blossom's the one that's all like, "Well, I don't want to wait anymore." And then it's just like, I don't know, man. It was like, "Oh, are we always going to be together as long as I'm still breathing, Blossom?" And I was like, what happened to this open relationship that was like 3 episodes prior? Is that just gone now? Anyways. So
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blossom's getting carried away, and now Vinny's the good guy, which doesn't make any sense to me.
No, at all.
Yeah. So he says he's going to go home, and he's got a new place. It's a dump. It's a hole. It's a sewer. He loves it. But his dad is too drunk to remember where it is, and he hasn't talked to his mom much since the divorce. So neither of them have moms, really. And then he puts on his Daft Punk helmet, and then they kiss through the helmet, and he leaves.
he's going around the world. Yeah, I clocked the same stuff. I said there's it's a good portrayal of roles reversed here. Blossom's the aggressor, and Vinny's like, nah, I'm good. And I feel like though we're gonna get the rug pulled out from under us for some reason. Like there's some reason Vinny doesn't want. He's pushing back on her advancements. It can't just be because he's a good guy. They talk about the new place. He hates his mom. Blossom hates her mom. I said there's a lot happening here, and we get like a Star Wars joke that no one laughs at, including me. And yeah, he's off around the world. I like the Daft Punk. That's you win so far today, Sal. That's good. Good reference
Awesome,
right
I'll
out the
take it.
gate.
So there's a hard cut to like a diagonal split screen where Blossom and Six are on the phone. And that's how we should do the podcast from now on.
We absolutely.
We should have a diagonal split screen and we're holding up phones as we're talking.
Right. We need to I think we need to start and stop with like the pause and the Corel draw filter each episode. We should I'll see if I can do that.
Oh my god, if we could pull that off, that would be incredible.
Hey,
I
could isolate the audio easily.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna start doing that. I'll see if I can
Okay.
pull that off. It may have happened this episode because like I'll edit in the future and put it back in the past. Just
Oh,
like
is
the
that how it
intro.
works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. The
So-
Blossom's telling Six how she was begging Vinny, and he said no, and Six wonders if he's gay. Hilarious.
Yeah.
That's 90s humor, and just like male
Right?
humor as a whole, right? If you're a guy and
Yeah.
you're not just like thinking about it all day, every day, there's something wrong with you. That's what TV's taught me.
Right? That's got to be it.
Yeah.
It's got to be it. And then Six asks about the open relationship thing, which finally it's being addressed. And she's
Thank
like,
God.
yeah, and she was like, oh, that was so last week. And I was like, what a TV show answer that is. Like,
Yeah.
great explanation. Just like, that was last week's episode.
It made me laugh because we've harped on it for like the last 4 episodes since they dropped that storyline cold, and somebody
Right.
was finally like in the writers' room was like, "Oh yeah, remember that? Let's make fun of ourselves for the lack of continuity." They'll think it's funny,
Yeah.
and to be fair, I did think it's funny. At least they addressed it, right? They tried.
Yeah, I guess
in
that's
vain.
true. I guess that's true.
Yeah, Six
has
calls
to
it out. Whatever happened to you guys seeing other people? It was last week. It was a phase. Yeah,
Whatever.
good stuff. I'll take it.
Six has to shut her door because her parents are downstairs fighting. Fighting about what? Fighting about fighting in front of Six. I was like, are they back together now? There's so many unanswered questions
Yep.
here. I was just like, Don, don't give he doesn't even care about continuity at this point. Every time her dad hears her mom's name, he gets a look in her eyes like the alien when he sees Sigourney Weaver. Top-notch reference.
Get that in there. Get that in there. Topical.
Yeah. So Blossom has the house to herself because Tony's working, and Joey and Nick are out having a boys' night. And she says Nick's probably super bored. And then we get another hard cut.
Yep.
Wanna
And
take this part?
Nick is playing Arlene McCafferty, the pinball machine, because he's just thrusting against it, yelling, "Yes, yes, yes," over and over
Yeah,
again. And then he's
It
done.
was really awkward. Yeah.
It was and then he walks away.
Yeah. Then he to go get some food.
Yeah. I said, man, there is so much happening. Every like 6 seconds, we're going in a different direction. I'm having a really hard time finding any sort of like anchor or storyline on this show. And
Yeah,
like
this one
we've
was
been
hard to
introduced to
follow at
17
first.
different subplots. And Nick is
Yeah.
also wearing a blue button-up shirt. And he gets 8 million points and does a dumb dance. And Nick has like a gambling problem. Is that what this episode's about? I have no idea.
I don't know. He was just super into pinball, but he's at a bar with Joey, which is weird.
Yeah.
I thought that was like super odd. So yeah, then they Joey's like starving. He forgot to feed his child because he's just so focused on pinball. So they go take a seat, and Nick says when he was a kid, he used to go out with his dad every Friday night. And then Joey asks, "When was that? Before they invented girls?"
Good line.
Yeah. Joey says he doesn't get a charge out of pinball just as Patty the waitress walks up. And then both Nick and Joey are drooling over her. And I was like, is this going to be where the episode goes? It's like them fighting over the same girl.
I was kind of intrigued by that. I was like, you know what? Let's see what happens. That's a fun storyline if they actually pull the trigger on it, which they didn't.
No, they didn't. Again, it was just something that
It was
was
just
like teed
"Huh,
up.
huh." There's all this shiny stuff in the office of Don Rio today as he's writing this. Like, "Huh, huh, huh."
He
Okay.
was just all over the place with stories.
Yeah, they both
So
hit
yeah,
on they both hit on Patty. I said Don Rio is like spinning in his office chair right now as he's writing this episode. It's chaos.
yeah, all over the place. Joey's ordering off the kids menu, and Nick's like ripping on him in front of the waitress, like
Thanks,
putting
Dad.
down his own son just to like, yeah, whatever. And then they agree, like, while they're waiting for their food, they're gonna pool shark some nerds over at the pool table.
Patty's gone forever.
Yeah, and so we never see Patty again. And then they do like this weird handshake.
Yeah. I wrote, ha 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 ha. What? In capital letters. Pretty much sums up the first 5 minutes of this episode. And then we bail. They're just
Yep.
gonna good old fashioned father son shark. There's other dudes, and then double team Patty, I guess. I don't know. Who knows where this is gonna go. So Blossom's in the kitchen, all relaxed and eating like 2 liters of ice cream because I imagine she's been upstairs ringing the devil's doorbell for the last couple hours after Vinny left. Come on, Sal. I got that. I got that term from legit old. Did we have this conversation? We found this old
No.
like it was like 60s religious paraphernalia. It was like young men don't date impure or don't marry an impure girl. Make sure she hasn't been ringing the devil's doorbell. That was an actual term on like religious paraphernalia. So I'm like, well, keeping that one.
Yeah, locking that one away for later use. And I'm glad you got to use it here.
Yes, I've been waiting, and this was the week. So yeah, she's
Right.
all loosey goosey, and Tony comes in. He comes in hot. He's in his outfit. He's in his EMT
As
outfit.
usual.
So
Yeah.
our good friend John Green checks that box, and Vinny was in an accident because he drove away with no blood in his head, and he's hurt pretty badly. And like,
Yeah.
is it Tony? Have we started to ask this question? Because it seems like everybody Tony knows eventually gets into an accident.
Yeah,
Like,
what's
is
he doing?
Is
man?
he Angela Lansbury on Murder, She Wrote? Like, there's just this dark cloud that hangs around this guy. And like, if you know Tony, someone you love is gonna die. It's inevitable. He's cursed. Like,
I want to watch
don't
that
date
show,
the Russo
man.
kids. First it was Joey's girlfriend a few weeks ago. Now it's stupid Bonatardi. And then Blossom's reaction to this news is like really off. Do you know, like, instead of like
You think
sad
so?
or scared or crying or like in shock, she just like is suddenly like panting, like she's out of breath. And that was like, I don't know, man. It didn't match. Like, I thought she would have, like she was just like, he's in the hospital. We gotta go. I'm like, not crying or like freaking out or anything. You're just like suddenly did cardio. I don't know.
The only thing I noticed from when they were leaving was that we got the very special episode music.
We
And then
did.
it did like a Corel draw freeze on Tony, but he's like mid blink as it's happening. He's like, "All right, Blossom, let's go to the hospital."
Meanwhile, outside, his like radio is going off. There's been like a triple homicide. He's inside, like, Blossom, your boyfriend is in an accident. He just like ducks out of work for a little bit. Go tell his sister.
Yeah.
Couldn't call her.
And
he had to
turning
hand
off the
deliver that
walkie-talkie.
message. Stupid.
All right,
But
and
the
then,
best part is we go to Tony blinking Corel draw, and then we come out of it, and it's like,
yeah,
I.
yeah, it's just like close up on Vinny's eye being held open by the nurse, and I actually wrote like, "What the are these freeze frames?
What is happening?
What is going on?" And then I said, "I hope he's dead. He's in the hospital."
Yes, that was the takeaway from everybody watching this episode. After that like cliffhanger commercial break ending. I hope he's dead. But you're
Yeah.
not wrong.
Well, that was my hope. So
he just
Vinny
read
has a
he just
concussion.
read the script for the pilot of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. He's like, write me out, folks. Send
Yeah,
me into
I'm outta
oncoming
here.
traffic, Rio.
So he has a
Was her name
concussion, he's
Dorothy?
in
I
a
thought her
coma.
name is it Dorothy, right?
No, I thought it was Doris.
Doris. Okay, I had Dorth. I was like, what kind of
Oh,
stupid name is
Dorth.
Dorth? But I say we meet Dorth the
Stephen
nurse,
Dorth?
and she has too many lines, so something's up with her.
I didn't put that together because all I could concentrate on was like her Goomba mushroom haircuts. It was very distracting. She's super
I did
cool to
later
Blossom.
mention her terrible haircut, but yeah, I don't have to say it now. She literally had a Goomba on her shoulders. Someone cue Roxette because this is the Super Mario Brothers movie all over again. Almost unreal, Sal.
Oh my god, so good. She's a super cool nurse though, and she lets Blossom stay the night. Someone in the audience here coughed. I took note of that.
Yeah.
And then we get a Blossom dream sequence.
First of all, they shouldn't be letting that girl stay the night. She's still all horned up. Like, that's not fair to Vinny. He can't fight
Right?
back this time.
Oh my god, dude.
Right? I know what's going to happen. All right.
Well, Goomba the nurse lets her stay. So she falls asleep and then she gets a dream sequence and she's on the phone and she's dressed like a 30-year-old would dress in 1992. And she's talking to her mom on the phone and I put, yeah, that's how we know it's definitely a dream.
Yeah. Mom wants nothing to do with her kids. Amazing. You're on
she's
fire
hol-
this week, Sal.
Wow, what can I say?
Busted me up like legit. I'm still laughing at your Daft Punk reference. Mad
all right.
Mad at myself for not making that.
She's holding a baby, telling her mom they named him Vinny Jr. And he was in the hospital. He stole another baby's rattle, so he's just like his dad. Vinny woke up from his coma and he said that he wanted to marry Blossom and become an actor. And he did both of those things. He's on a sequel to 90210 called 90211. And then I actually thought this was pretty funny. She goes, well, that's enough exposition for now. Bye, Mom. And like hangs up. I was like, all right.
I said the
That's pretty funny.
90211 joke doesn't make any sense, but I very much appreciate the attempt. Like, it's a good
Yeah.
joke. I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
Because he swaggers in looking like Luke Perry used to dress in 90210. He's
Yeah,
kinda
is that
got the
who
body
he's
language?
supposed
Yeah,
to
that's
look
what they
like?
were going for.
Yeah. And then I wrote, I wish his character was dressed like Luke Perry is now.
Like, in the incinerator?
Yeah, I thought that would get you.
It was too open ended, but that's good. I was just waiting to set up my next joke.
Okay,
she
go
asks
for it.
if the baby is better looking than him, and she says no. And he asks if the real Brandon and Dylan from 90210 are better looking than him. And you, Steve. You, Ian Zaring. He's never in the. There were 3 dudes on 90210, and Steve never gets put in the category with the other 2. Like, they couldn't even.
No one
they
gives a shit
add
about
Steve
Steve.
to like who's the hottest guy on 90210. It's just like, for granted, it's not Steve. There's some sad girl out there who thought Steve was the hottest, and we should have her on the show sometime.
Yeah.
We should interview her. Who was Team Steve out there, ladies? What's wrong with you?
Well, at
What
least the
loser
good thing
did you
about
grow
her
up and
is
marry
like,
if you were Team Steve? What absolute dial tone of a human being did you end up with, hun? If you were Team Steve.
at least she
from
could go to the store and always find his posters, right?
Absolutely. At least he can always go to the store and not be bugged by fans. So it's probably a win-win. Oh, yeah. He's never
Yeah.
in the conversation of who the hottest guy on the show was. So then Blossom says, when he asks if they like Luke Perry and what was the other guy's real name? Brandon Walsh, what was his name? Jason Priestley.
Jason Priestley, yeah.
She says, I don't like boys. I like men. And Don Rio, direct hit again. Take that, 90210.
Yeah, direct
He clearly tried to write for that show, and they shut him down.
shot.
Then we meet Joey. He's 27. He's still in high school, and we learn that he's a virgin. And like, that was supposed to be like a pause for laughter moment, but nobody laughs. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That was weird. Nobody wants to think of Joey as 20. You know, like, I don't know. The Joey character is starting to be really inconsistent in that way. I found in this next run of episodes where it's like he's clearly a hit with the girls, but at the
Right.
same time he's always frustrated because he's still a virgin, and it's like, well, like, girls seem to be throwing themselves at him, but I don't know. We'll continue. Yeah.
So Six comes in and she's their maid or she's their nanny, but she's dressed like a maid. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense. And then Nick comes in wearing a wig and he's Blossom's driver. And he goes, "Isn't she swell?" And then Six looks directly into the camera and goes, "And rich too." And that's when the nurse comes in and wakes up Blossom. And then she's like asking about their relationship. And I actually pointed out that there's like at the end of the bed where Vinny's sleeping, there's like a really awful looking plant. And I don't know why it stuck out to me, but it actually comes into play later on.
Really?
Yeah.
1 week, these awful looking plants will also come into play, and I'm waiting for that. Someone's like covering my face this week.
Yeah.
If only there's something I could do. Yeah, I said this is where the nurse with the tragic haircut is like, "Why are you two together? You don't look like you should be. Stay in your fucking lane, Dorth. Okay? Like, what is?
Yeah.
The guy's dead. We won't be together for much longer if you are like getting in my business instead of helping this guy, Dorth. Like,
Yeah.
save him."
And then, yeah, she's talking about how he's getting his grades up in school because she's helping him and whatever. She's hoping that he can make it to college. And then we get the very special episode music again.
And we're back to the arcade.
Yeah. Well, it's a
The
bar.
bar.
But there's
Yeah.
like sock hop music playing, and Joey's like kicking ass at pool and winning a ton of money with Nick. And then the guys are like, "Well, you have to fight us now because you hustled us." It's like, what? This is where this is going?
And the one guy, like, comedy sitcom punches Nick, and Nick spins around, and Joey catches him. And then
Yeah.
he asks Joe if he's ever been in a fight, and Joey goes, "With a guy?
Yeah.
What does that mean, Sal?
I have no idea.
Beats
It was
women?
odd.
Is that what he fights women? Joey fights women? Is that the joke?
Yeah, I don't know. Makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Then,
And then it's
suddenly they're all at home, and Debbie Downer,
Yeah, it's
Tony,
another
is being
hard
a
cut.
downer about everything.
Yeah.
They're
And then,
doing
like-
the boys come home. They're doing this bit where they're like pretending to fight, and Tony's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, by the way, Vinny's dead." He lets them do their whole like funny thing, gets it out of their system, and then he's like, "Oh, by the
Yeah.
way, guess what?"
Yeah, and then Tony's calling them out for like, he's like, "Oh, it's really dumb that you're doing this stupid macho crap." And then he's like mad that they're bonding over that. And then he's like, "Oh, do you want to come with us next week?" He's like, "Sure." So yeah, bring the alcoholic to a bar. That's a great call.
100%.
Yeah. And then he tells Nick about Vinny, and then all of a sudden, Nick cares about Vinny. I guess you
Yeah.
would react that way. But then also Rhonda's grandfather had a heart attack, which comes
Where
out
is
of
she?
nowhere and also doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the episode.
No.
Then Tony says he feels like he's a jinx, and then he puts his feet up on the coffee table, and the coffee table collapses onto Nick's foot.
Anytime
Comedy.
someone gets hit in the toe, I'm reminded of the first time a Nintendo game talked in Turtles in Time, and it was like, "My toe, my toe."
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, when they're on the surfboards. So awesome.
I quote that a lot in the house when something goes wrong.
Nice.
My toe, Alley Cut Blues. What a time to be alive.
Oh my god. I love
Bury
that
my
game.
Charlotte wounded knee. Like, oh my, it talked. Good times, good memories.
Love it.
Yeah, the stupid Rhonda's grandfather had a heart attack. Got to remind us she's still around. Okay, we're back at the hospital, and Dorth is on hour 18 of her shift because she's still there. She brings
Yeah.
Blossom a blanket, and Blossom dreams again how she's old, and Six comes in with like 6 kids, and that's funny. For the past 20 years, Blossom's waited for Vinny to wake up, and then Six goes, then she tells Six, she looks at Six with all the kids and goes, "And as appealing as your life is," which is a funny line, Six tells Blossom to move on because Vinny, you ready for this? We're gonna deep dive this one. Move on because
Yeah.
Vinny is a, quote, zucchini. He's a vegetable. Wow. 1991. She says, what he needs is cheese sauce.
That was great. You skipped over the part where she's walking into the house though, and she tells her kids to go upstairs and play, and she's carrying a baby while pregnant. And then she like yells at the oldest one. She's like, "Here, take your sister with you." And she just like hugs hucks the baby like a football, and the crowd gasped.
Having kids 12 years or 12 months apart, I'm like, they're not Italian, they're Irish. Good for them. Good for you, Six. She married a good Irish man after all. Arlene McCafferty's son. Yeah, I miss the baby Chuck. That's funny. I just it is very not politically correct to call people in a coma vegetables anymore. That is
No, it is
shunned.
not.
And it was
Yeah,
I feel like by the end
he
of the
doesn't
90s,
need you.
'cause
He
I've got
needs a good cheese sauce.
I've got a story. Yeah, just look at the sauce. She might as well said that. My wrap up thought of the day has to do with calling people in coma vegetables back in the day. So we'll pause on that
All right,
one.
we'll come back to it.
All right.
We'll come back to it. So Blossom shows up at the hospital, and this is where like that plant that was at the end of his bed has grown, and it's like a vine, and it's like all around Vinny.
Oh, that's what. Okay, that went way over my head. I had no idea what was happening there, so I just ignored it. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So Vinny finally wakes up. He looks exactly the same, and now he's not interested in Blossom anymore because
She's a
looks old.
senior.
Yeah. And then the first thing he does is ask about his bike, and then Vinny gets up and leaves.
Yeah, the crowd is laughing.
Yeah.
They think that's hilarious.
I thought, to be fair, I thought she was pretty good in this scene.
Yep.
Like her whole like ranting on him as an old person in the hospital was pretty funny.
Because in her the tie together joke too is in her dream when he wakes up, he's like, "Where's my bike?" And then when he wakes up in real life, that's one of the first thing he asks. He's like, "Is my bike okay?" Which I thought was kind of funny. And when I was working at Wendy's, this is a good story. We had this coworker, and she was kind of like, her and her husband weren't doing great, and she's like, he has this car, like he sold like all three of their cars and bought one car for the two of them to drive to share because he really liked this car. And she's like, I swear he loves this car more than me. And we're like, no. So she leaves. It was winter. She spun out and she like kind of hit. There's like this like off ramp, where you could have slid into the ditch, but she was like half in, half out of the ditch, and it was only like 5 minutes away. So she called us and she's like, "Oh my God, like I called my husband. Can you come like get me or just be here because he's like 15 minutes away and you guys are only like 2 minutes away." So my friend, do you remember Jonathan? I don't know. We drove over there and we're like, "Oh my God, are you okay?"
Yeah.
And she was all shaken up, right? Because she like spun out and almost the car was like half in the ditch. And she's like, "Oh, you should be here." The only thing he's going to care about is his car. And we're like, no, he's going to be worried about you. Dude literally like pulls up in his friend's car because he got dropped off. And he goes, "My car!" Like runs right past her. And we're like, all right, well, good luck, you guys. Not surprisingly, they got a divorce.
I gotta stop
next year. What?
No kidding. I gotta stop you though. I believe you've told this story on the cast before.
No, did I?
I believe you have.
Phenom confirmation.
Phenom can confirm.
Phenom recently.
Maybe.
Oh,
I
Oh,
remember you
okay.
telling this story. I don't remember if it was on the cast or if it was.
if
in
you
person.
both
I'm
heard the
pretty-
story, it was probably on the cast then.
I
It's
couldn't
not.
tell
It's
you
not
when
one
it
of my
was.
like go-to stories because she's a sweet girl.
it fits
She
in really well
remarried
with
and she's
this.
doing great now. But yeah, definitely then. Cool, good stuff.
For the record, I think you've also used ringing the devil's doorbell before.
Oh,
We were just shooting a hockey tournament, Sal, where there was like a game an hour for 4 days. So, Mr. Phenom listened to our entire catalog.
that's amazing.
I know. So he's
Also,
locked in.
I'm
He's ready
so
to go.
sorry.
We have 2 episodes left of the like unreleased lost episodes before we bridge that gap between the original audio only and starting here at with video in the Dufferin Avenue Media Network, which I didn't give props to off the top. So remind me to do that at the start of the next one. So we're getting close. We're getting close to bridging it all. I'm
Love
excited.
it.
Yeah,
Love it.
right. So that's my Wendy's car story, which apparently I've told already. And apparently I've already used ringing the devil's doorbell, which is too bad because I'm really proud of that one. The fact that it comes like based in, biblical rage is such a good one. Yeah. So Vinny wakes up and he goes, "Yeah, there's nothing worse than bitter chicks," and bounces. Then she wakes up in the hospital as Vinny's shaking her awake. He's okay, just fine, whatever. Yeah. So here it is.
Yeah.
There he asks how his bike is. He says, "Hey, Blossom, don't worry about me. I'm too nasty to die."
Yeah, I took note of that too.
Idiot. This is
What a
why no
line.
one likes you, Vinny, because you say shit like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right? This is why you're the worst character.
And then
Blossom goes,
Mushroom.
I love you, and they make out, and that catheter can't feel great right now.
Oh God. Yeah. And then Nurse Mushroom walks in and
Throws
turns
cold
out
water on it.
yeah.
Here comes
Turns out
Dorth.
it's Vinny's mom. What a twist. And she
Did-
approves of Blossom.
Did you see that coming?
Not at all.
No, me
Not at
neither.
all.
It was very weird. I knew something
Yeah.
was up with her because she was getting way too much screen time, but yeah. All right. I wrote, come on.
Yeah. So it's a hard cut. Blossom and Six are back on the phone in the diagonal split screen. Rhonda's grandfather is going to be okay. Whew, I'm glad we brought that up. Six is going to see Kramer versus Kramer with her dad. And there was a joke there, but I didn't really catch it. And then you can hear Nick in the kitchen singing about pizza pie in the kitchen.
Before that,
What
though,
an
I
act.
said 6 channels our mutual friend Doodoo the Clown and thinks the situation is unbelievable.
Nice.
Yeah, Nick's downstairs singing about his pizza with his black eye. So does everyone this week have a concussion? Like Chris Benoit's theme song is just playing throughout the house right now.
God. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. So Blossom says she has over $12 burning in her pocket and she wants to take Nick out for a cheeseburger instead. And I went, 1992 prices.
But he just
And then-
leaves. He's like, yeah, all right. This
So then he
pizza."
just leaves the pizza. And then she's like, all right, but you got to promise not to get any bar fights. And then Nick puts on like he pulls these shades out of nowhere and puts them on. He's like, make no promises, doll face. And then he goes, hey, what about a pizza?
Do you want to go? Just I'll let you do your thing. Go.
There's really not much here. She goes, the boys are home.
Oh come
Ah,
on,
see."
come on! They're dunking on the Italian stereotypes to finish the show. That's the show closer. You
It
have
is
no
how the
thoughts
show
on that?
ends.
No thoughts on that, Sal?
Nah, I've given up.
I said,
So
was
then
there
both-
was there furniture flipping at the Accardo house?
Yeah,
Were
plastic
you
color.
like, what you're
plastic
leaving the
covered
pizza,
furniture
right?
is
It's a good
flipping.
pizza. A burger. It's a pizza. No. Okay.
Nah, they didn't
Thought
have
that
me
would've
this
set
time.
you off. All right, fine.
And then both the boys like peek their heads in through opposite doors, and then they walk in. And then did you notice that Joey is like kind of sniffing? And then there's like a bunch of garlic. I don't know if I've noticed this before. Outside the kitchen door, there's like a whole string of garlic, like hanging down, and then Joey sniffs it.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, and then they walk
Planting
up. They
seeds
basically
for the future Anthony is a vampire storyline.
yeah.
It's gonna pay off. That and there's 3 midgets living in the 3 recycling bins. They're gonna pop out one day. There's so many clues. There's so many Easter eggs for the future seasons.
What is going on in the Russo's kitchen? So they each take half the pizza and walk away, and we get the Corel draw freeze frame. And that's the end of the episode.
I only look for one thing now during the closing credits because there's never a continuation. It's always just the like guitar solo and like the outtakes. There's no more like end closing new credit scene.
I don't even get the closing credits, so I don't see any of it.
You're watching it on your Afghanistan animation channel.
Yeah, that's right.
Does it
Absolutely.
have dubs? Like, are you listening to it in a foreign language? It's got
Yeah,
the
it's
original,
dubbed.
It's got the original audio.
Yeah, it's dubbed from English into whatever, and then back to English. So it's the dialogue's a little off.
They're like, no wonder Blossom's so upset.
Oh my god, dude,
No,
we gotta edit all that out.
I don't know where you're watching it from.
I just put what a weird episode overall. I have no real final thoughts on it. I feel like
Took a few seconds for Phenom to feel comfortable enough to laugh at that, so I appreciated that. There's a good delay. It's a safe place here, folks. It's the OK Bloomer podcast. No
it's
judgment.
true story.
No judgment.
True story.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
I
get
don't know.
edited
I feel
out
like-
anyway.
It's staying in. I'm gonna loop it twice. I'm gonna just like play it back to back over and over. Okay.
Yeah, I
Ready?
don't know, man. I feel like nothing really advanced. I feel like nothing was answered or learned beside Vinny's mom. But when we get to pit characters, we'll address that in a second. So, yeah,
I do
I don't
my
know.
takeaway?
What's the lesson of the week here?
Okay, here's today's lesson of the week. Today's takeaway from the episode Kids from Blossom. In 1999, I was doing commentary for a backyard wrestling promotion, and two wrestlers accidentally fell from the trampoline and landed on their heads. Someone said, "Uh-oh, call Campbell's Soup because we got a couple of vegetables." And that was very frowned upon and edited out of the eventual release of the tape because it was not cool to make that joke in 1999. 1992, however, that was not poor taste, and an episode of Blossom that aired on a Monday night and primetime slot made fun of a person in a coma being referred to as a vegetable for a solid minute and a half. So I say that to show the impressive growth we all did as society and human beings. We learned a
And
lot.
it only took us 7 years.
Right? That's my takeaway.
It's a
For
good
the record,
takeaway.
someone call Campbell's Soup. We got a couple of vegetables. Not cool. Not funny.
I think it's hilarious. It's a brilliant line. Well done. My hat goes off to you, sir.
Well, I didn't say it was me. I said someone made that joke and got the wrist
yes.
slapped
Ah, by who?
by the people putting the tape together later.
Oh, okay.
We're like, we'll call him C. Anderson. They're like, that was not a cool thing to say. No, that's too easy. We'll call him Curtis A. They're like, you can't say that. You can't say that. I was like, okay. So that person was noted.
Okay. Well, that's a good lesson.
Put
Are we
me in
good
the pit
to,
this week.
You're on fire. All right. Our pit characters. Catherine Cannon was Dorth, the nurse,
Is she canon? Is she coming back?
aka Vinny's mom, in the pit. We never
Are
see
you
her
serious? She never
Yeah.
comes back. Vinny's
Yeah.
mom.
again.
Wow.
Yeah. Andrew Hill Newman and David Pressman were the two guys in the bar fight. Obviously, they're both in the pit. Patty, who we never see again, but was
No.
almost introduced as a character, or at least an episodic character, also in the pit. She was played by Christine Taylor. Did you recognize her?
That was Christine Taylor?
It was Christine Taylor.
Like, didn't she marry Ben Stiller eventually?
She is married to Ben Stiller.
Wow,
Yeah.
she did not look anything like the Christine Taylor we know.
Oh, really? I recognized
think
her right
so.
away. And there,
Really?
actually, funny enough, there was sort of a little reunion here because from 1989 to 1991 on Nickelodeon, there was a show called Hey Dude. And it was a show about life on a ranch in Arizona. And Christine Taylor was the star, as was David Lasher, who plays Vinny.
Oh,
And they now have a podcast called Hey Dude, the 90s Called.
oh,
And they've had
I saw that
they've-
pop up.
Yeah, and they have 2 episodes, one featuring Mayim Bialik and the other one featuring Tony. I haven't had the chance to listen to them yet, but my only takeaway from that is our podcast is close to being done, man. Like, we're so close. It's
No way,
all like
man. We're just gonna merge.
we're less
They're gonna
than
bring
like
us on.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, no,
But,
Blossom's gonna
yeah.
do a podcast real soon. But you know what? Maybe people will stumble across ours by accident, googling the real one.
That would be pretty
We'll
awesome.
just rebrand it, whatever they say, and just add like a Z on the end instead of an S, and then it'll pop
Well, whatever
up.
tags they put in their podcast, we should just tag ours with the same. And then
Absolutely. Hey,
then
Phenom,
it'll
look
just
up
pop up
the
next.
show Party Girl from like 1996. I think that was Christine Taylor. Christine Taylor never really took off, right? Like, she was gorgeous,
did.
and she had like a whole bunch of like bit roles. But I remember she got her own show in the mid 90s. I'm sure that was her. It was called Party Girl, and I was like, good for her.
American sitcom based on the 1995 film.
Is it Christine Taylor?
Briefly aired on Fox. Christine Taylor, Swoozie Kurtz, and John Cameron Mitchell.
Yeah, it went like 5 episodes, didn't it? Did it go a full season?
Well, it's got an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's not good.
Ooh, that's
Number
worse
of
than Blossom.
seasons- Number of seasons 1, number of episodes 6.
Yeah, there
Oh,
you go.
wow.
6
Okay.
episodes, and they pulled the plug. It wasn't great, but I was excited for her because then she
Right.
married Ben Stiller, didn't she?
She did, yeah.
Yeah.
They're still together, I believe, and
Crazy.
yeah, she pops up in a lot of things.
Yeah,
She's
but
around.
never as
She's
like
been
a
around.
leading. Like, she didn't have that like Hollywood blockbuster. She didn't have that sitcom. She's always like a B player, which is really
True.
sad. Too bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess Ben Stiller's got money, so put your feet up, gal.
She's living off that Severance
Right?
money off the TV
Fox
show.
promised her. Fox paid her for 4 seasons of Party Girl, and she only did 6 episodes. She's working harder.
I mean,
I always
wish
thought
could
she
get that deal.
she could have been the next Cameron Diaz. To be honest, back in the '90s, I was like Cameron. You're like, I don't know. I thought they had similar energy on screen.
That's fair.
What do I?
That's
What
fair.
do I know? I'm doing a Blossom podcast. I'm not.
We're
Not
big
a-
fans of Christine Taylor,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
yeah, we should listen to her podcast.
Let's do it. Let's see what
All
they.
right.
They probably talk about us on their podcast, right? They're like, "Have you seen these two idiots?" Going
Yeah.
episode by episode for Blossom.
Yeah. Yep.
That's literally what they're doing. Only they're famous. I'm excited to hear what. If it's just about the show, was Blossom on that show?
I
and
think
Tony?
I think it's more just the two of them getting together and just talking about things from the 90s and like growing up as young actors in the 90s. I think that's kind of what it's about.
Sounds lame.
So yeah, not like they'd have any perspective on that at all, right?
No, it's jaded,
Unlike
though.
us,
It's
totally
jaded.
related to
See,
Blossom.
we have no sacred cows here. We're not trying to get more work in Hollywood like I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're like, oh yeah, Don Rio, great
Speak for
guy,
yourself,
great writer.
Anderson.
Oh yeah, Jonathan Schmuck, love him. Wish he'd call me back. Hey guys, with all the reboots, we should like reboot Blossom. What do you think, huh? 100%, I bet you the energy. They're looking for work.
Totally.
No one does a podcast just for fun.
Yeah, right? What kind of an idiot would do that? What do we got next, Phenom?
Next up is season 3, episode 7, Only When I Laugh.
Let's go.